So, guys, we're continuing on the topic of language and connections between different languages. So, today, me and Lady Maud are gonna be rolling through the different words from Swedish, right?
English primarily, but also Swedish.
Also Swedish,
So you
yes,
can
okay.
understand, we have to do it in English.
Yeah, okay, yes, of course, yes. Yeah, English is the base language because most of us can speak it, and so we can, try to communicate. Okay.
Okay. Does also when we screen share now, will if I point with a pointer, the mouse, will that also show?
Probably, if
Oh, good.
you highlight it, probably it will show it.
Okay.
I see something, but
Oh, good. Yeah. So maybe that's good if I want to point out something. So, all right. So this topic is about spells in our language, especially the English language. But I'm also very curious about the Russian. What if there are any? So that was my alarm because I was gonna talk to you. So sorry.
okay.
You were. We started a few minutes earlier, so that was just so I wouldn't forget about tonight. Okay. So anyway, the word spelling in grammar is to cast a spell when you're writing, okay? And the root word is from grammaire, which is French, and it also comes not only from grammaire, so the root is grimoire, grimoire, book of magic in French then. So I'm just reading off here.
Mm-hmm.
So spell is the
Mm-hmm.
verb, stava in Swedish, and stava is the, what is it? The rod, the stick. You know when you do
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
And stav is the wand, the magic wand. So
Yeah, the whole word magic is
yeah, yes, yes,
magia, or simply magu. Magu is like I can. So
yeah,
magic is like I can in Russian. So it's like,
really,
yeah,
yeah,
that it's like you can do it, and it's maybe it's a magic for somebody who can't. So probably this is there is no such a thing like a magic as what we used to know, at least, all right. So all the magic that we like, um, talk about in modern literature is looking like this ridiculous some magician in the head, or even some clothes which is like covering all his body, and maybe a long beard and a stick and stuff
yeah,
like this. So it's like totally ridiculing uh, the way that people used to look. So
mm,
so it's like they pointing out the old people how they used to look, and calling them magicians because they used to know how to do things, maybe
yes,
because the this allegory, because the spell is actually the information or the recipe to do something, the technology, the
mm,
because the most important thing that they can destroy is the technology. And obviously we lost the implementation techniques of those technologies, and this is actually information that could be uh, told by somebody if we could be contacting those people, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yes. So okay,
And
uh,
also spelling is not only writing spelling, it's also spelling as when you like try to spell it orally, right? Like,
yes,
like if I'd like to spell a word spell, I'd say Spell, right? So this is also spelling.
yeah, I think so. Yeah, Yeah.
So probably it's just the transfer of the code between two individuals or two plus individuals.
Hmm. So more to curse. So also in school, you learn the cursive writing, and in Swedish it's kursiv. Uh, so it's the same word.
Yeah, probably because curse is also the studying of something. Like take courses of literature
Yeah.
or take courses of math, right? So it's also the same word. I probably imagine if that it has roots in Sanskrit. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. Probably.
Because also cursive is also the technique, right? It's also the masterpiece because we have this even the signs in China which people still learning how to
Yeah.
spell words as hieroglyphs very beautiful,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Those Japanese and Chinese and many of those symbol languages. They also when they write them, they have to lift the pen because there are many lines across. Uh, but when we spell the European or Russian, or the more, how do you say, um, the way we learned to write, it's you don't leave the paper more than it's a dot over an I, or in Swedish we have we have dots and then that line over.
And probably just because they have a lot more symbols than we have in our current so-called alphabets. This is why, because if we had like 144 symbols that we used to have in runic writings, we
Mm-hmm.
probably also be lifting our pens. But since we got also this, it was called a trade writings and trade spellings. So probably this is why all this stuff become so-called. Maybe it was used for marketing also, right? Because trading and spelling, which is pretty much the same because you cannot you know trade without selling.
Mm.
Sell is a spell, so and sell is also sale, right?
Yes, yes, yes. I also, if I had the time, I would like to learn all languages. I think it's very inspiring. Like in the Chinese, I'm just talking. I'm not into different types of Chinese. I don't speak Chinese, so I've only touched on it. But I did learn that when you write one tree, it looks like a tree, and then if you write forest, you have two trees. So
Yeah.
it's a very it has really images as symbols, and you need, if I'm correct, as I recall, you need to learn about 4,000 symbols, but since they're simple, many, not all of them, of course, but you need to know 4,000 to read a newspaper. So
Yeah.
but yeah, so further on here, to rita is when you draw, and it's in Swedish, and rit and write, to spell right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, they're not. It's not a translation, but um, to spell right, if you change the writing, the spelling, you have the right, a ritual.
Yeah, right is also being correct. Spelling
Yes,
is also
exactly.
is connected to
Yeah,
correct.
exactly. Here,
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, right is a law. Law is spelled in writings, right? So
Yeah.
you know
How
the
do you say
law.
that? How do you say that in? Yes, exactly. The
Yeah,
law.
and then write is also read because when you read, you read, and
Yeah.
it's also right because praво in Russian is like право. правый is right hand, like left hand. So why is it always right hand that is right?
Yeah,
So you can even talk with the one word and
but
say different stuff.
it's
So
harder. I broke my arm once, so then I had to use my other hand. So then I thought it was fun. Sometimes when I play squash, I'm terrible with my left hand, but I do that just for fun, just to practice. And if I'm repainting a chair or a wall or something simple, even when I draw, I use my, the non-dominant handwriting. But I think I was born left-handed, but then I learned very, very early to use my right. Anyway, so we have Pan, Peter Pan. No, I'm not there. Sorry, that's not that yet.
but
Sorry.
if we continue with right, it's also a law, like not only a law, but it's also a right of a person, right? So it's like undisputed condition that this person can use in his favor,
Oh
or
yes, yes. Mm.
so this is also because if we were both-handed in the ancient times, then we probably were more complex for them. So they may be switching half of us and just leave the right, mostly the right-handed people, right? And program us through this word right, because
Mm.
when it's used on a daily basis, you are programmed with this word, and you
I think
program it in each and every dimension, like a law and a human perception, if he's right or wrong, and right or left in each direction. So you're like moving and thinking and totally controlled by community, by all these laws that are written in those legal information.
yeah. So from the word pendulum, you have pen, pencil, penna in Swedish. What's the name in Russian?
Pen,
Yeah.
ручка. Ручка is also hand. So it's,
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
Ручка is like small hand, handy, like little handy stuff.
What was the word you said before about? Was it rita? Draw in Russian. What was that? It sounded like pravda, but
Draw is like draw is also equal, like draw in a game. It's also a draw, and
yeah, in chess.
in chess or whatever. So it's like you know undisputed condition, also a draw. Like
Yeah.
everybody recognizes this and doesn't give any attempts to question the decision.
Mm.
So, and draw, you mean painting is рисовать. Рисовать is like paint something, right? So
Now, there was some other word you mentioned earlier. It sounded like it was connect, like the newspaper
право,
Pravda,
право is a
Pravo.
right. Право is a right. Right is like what the person has in this condition, and right is the direction. So право is also a direction in Russian. So
But is it connected to Pravda? Is it similar? Is it
Pravda, yes, of
family? Yeah,
course. It's a root word for pravda, for the
that's
truth.
what I was thinking. Yeah,
Yeah, of
excellent.
course.
Yeah. Okay, um, so when you are using it and you are moving it, and your hand is holding the pendulum, it so that is also very interesting how we are not in the fake news psyop schools and everything fake history that we also have been doing sorcery all our lives in school. So I think this is interesting. My views went down when I after that I did that video on Paris because it was too much of a psyop video. Anyway,
Which one?
when I just made a map of all the fire, the pompier, the bombas, the fire departments around
Uh huh.
the Notre Dame.
Ah, you
That was
made the
just
videos about firemen about Notre Dame.
yeah, just about how many since it took so long for them to put out the fire, and then I pointed out all the how close they're all in walking distance, how close all their fire
Yeah,
departments are
they easily
around.
could have put the fire down,
Yes.
and it was very hard to start it because people were actually practicing with this type of oak,
Yeah.
and they couldn't manage to put it on fire. So
They had to
uh,
use gasoline.
I don't know what did they use, but but
um,
it,
so
yes, it's
anyway,
very complicated information. People don't want to hear about it, so
no,
you may get like a couple of
no. I was thinking it was a
reports.
YouTube filter that I was that it was not something they wanted me to make a video about. So anyway, okay. So another thing here is syllables. It comes from sibyl, which is a very witchy word. Um, and then you get in many schools, especially the American schools, the English schools, and also they also whenever you've done well, you get a pentagram, and in if you I had the grading system with A, B, A plus, B plus, or minus, and so forth. And in the French school, you have from 1 to 20. And I also attended American school. So in Swedish, we changed to 1 till 5.
Yeah, we also have 1 to 5, and when I studied in US, we had like percentages, and so you may have like 93, and that's an A.
Yeah.
And if you have like 97 or 98, it's an A plus or something. So it's like it's like all split in those percentages, and you can fail if you like less than 70, I think,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's
Then it's a C, or and then it gets become
B is 86 plus or
yeah.
something.
I forgot. Oh yeah, yeah. That's a D probably. Anyway, so then you would get stars. They would usually the teachers when they went through your work, you would get the stars.
Yeah, we had stars also.
So they had red stars on all the papers, on the writings, and then also when you get an A plus, A minus, or just a normal A, if when they write the teachers, it becomes the A in a cursive, it becomes a pentagram as well. So you get I had lots of pentagrams. I was an A plus student. Not always. I did I did well when I had good teachers. So also when you write an A, it's an open pentagram like in the American military. You know those that is open at one side, like on the Air Force has that pentagram that it has an opening. Are you with me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, good.
I'm just, not an expert in pentagrams and all this stuff, so
It's
that's
okay.
why I may be I look little retarded when you talk about it.
You don't. So, and also in the American schools, we would get gold stars, pentagrams for good behavior or for, you know,
What I've heard about the pentagram actually is one thing. It's that it's the same as a Star of Wales, but only without the soul. So you take away the soul.
star
Uh,
whales.
Star of Wales. It's Wales, or Jews call this Star of David.
Yeah.
It was Star of Wales
Oh.
before this Abrahamic stuff started.
Hmm.
So that's what we know.
Yeah.
Maybe maybe it was the same because
They're
maybe
probably
they
connected. There's just
something connected because different people call this different groups of people could be calling different person different names, right? So
yeah,
so who knows? And so it's like they take away the soul of a person, like
yeah,
or spirit, whatever you can call it. Maybe a spirit, maybe I'm wrong,
yeah.
maybe it's a wrong translation. So you take away something like a spirit or soul, and you control the person via the symbol of five star, five angle star.
You know, in kindergarten and preschool, I also went attended to schools abroad, and
Also one important thing, and they put those stars exactly on your chakras, like here, like
yes,
here, everywhere. So it's like
exactly.
they like.
Especially, that was exactly what I was going to get to. That the smaller kids, they would get them on their forehead, in their right in the middle of the forehead. That's like an in being initiated. So it's a really casting spells on the children by doing that, and also making people wanna. I want a star. A star is good, so that it becomes something you want to have in the future. Also, so it's a very smart thing they've done there. Um,
Yeah,
Also,
it's probably
soldiers. Yeah.
inverting the original, all these meanings of use of star as a star shaped, geometry or whatever, like all those right and maybe correct angles, also angels, like it's like
Yes.
all everything's connected. So it, I mean, everything is connected to all this geometry is what we saw in all these constructions that we can observe right now. So
Hmm.
definitely those people, if they were so obsessed with geometry, they wouldn't be doing any ugly windows in the ground or anything like this, or maybe doors to the second floor,
Yeah.
windows in the second floor. So it's like totally nonsense, and we everything
I
is connected to all this stuff, all this math and geometry. So probably this is useless to use this geometry as an excuse for them, like they used to build like this. So it's like totally disgracing what we see, because they couldn't be building like this if
yeah.
they didn't know any geometry and
I
common sense, of course.
What I've noticed also, this is a side thing about what you were saying now about the mud flooders. There are so many buildings that have been built, especially the past, I don't know, from the 90s and then till today. So they copy the mud flood buildings. You see these pillars or brick pillars that are square shaped,
Yeah.
and they don't have walls. They just raise. They're just raised out of the grass, or wherever they put them. So they make it uh, appear to be. So you're going to think, oh, it's normal when you see that. And also, especially the past 10 years, it's mad how much mud floody I've been intending to do a video for ages, but I've been having so many other videos I've had to done. So I've saved some images, but also maybe that could be a talk for the future.
Yeah, they're just
Uh,
destroying the evidence, and we can see it
so
like.
and also by the mockery they are making. For instance, when I last time I was in Stockholm, and also last fall, there was this area where I was staying with the friends, and there were so many new built houses there, and they were built as if they were flooded. So they have so also so you have those windows by the ground, or you have half windows, and they really copy the mud flooding. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's the general idea is if
So
we
there's
just
no need. They're also already they started building the later built that they put in cellars just because the old one, the flooders, had cellars. So then they put cellars as well in the new buildings. And then they have all these troubles with flooding, and they have to find techniques to handle the water when it rains too much and so forth, as if to make it appear normal that they had cellars in the old
Yeah,
back in the
my
day.
experience is that they just, either, break up the windows totally and, put some, uh, how do you call it? Cement on it, and, or, put some stones or something, so it won't be having any windows anymore at all.
Yeah,
Or they, if they cannot do it, they just, make some parkings from, or maybe shops, or maybe some cafes.
yeah, with the old
And
ones.
yeah, with the old
Yes.
ones, they just trying to hide it via the interior design.
Mm.
But you can still go downstairs and check out if they have any more basements down there,
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
you see that they have.
Even the churches have them, but they're not accessible. Usually they're locked. So I usually when I go into a church or an old building, I ask them, "Do you have a cellar?" I'm like, "Yes, I knew it." So
Yeah, of course they
and you
do.
have all those air vents. Yeah,
Yeah, before we jump back to your
yeah,
findings, let me ask you to if you can find any construction photographs from the 19th century. That would be great, because
yeah.
I just, searching for it for like 3 years, and I totally, stuck on finding just a small amount on construction bridges and small amount on construction like skyscrapers. But skyscrapers is like the end of 19th century. So, and
On constructing
I mean, like the buildings, like the significant buildings, like you pick
or
the most
any
significant
significant.
buildings, yeah, the most significant buildings in in maybe Stockholm, and they like say it was built in 19th century. Find the pictures.
Okay.
If it's like before that, they may say like it was reconstructed in 19th century. So also
Yeah,
maybe you can ask for pictures if they have
yeah, yeah,
the original look, the reconstructed look, or maybe the
yeah.
pictures of reconstruction also, because I can't find any pictures on any significant buildings here.
It's very hard.
Yeah, just let. And everybody, guys, in the chat who's gonna watch this video, just put it down in the comments, and maybe find me or Lady Mud and send us pictures of what you found about the
Yeah,
construction in the 19th century, because we cannot find anything.
yeah. Okay. Do you want to
Yeah, just
press on here?
go. Yeah.
Okay. So not only school has the golden stars. You have soldiers that get decorated. You have sheriff positions and what do you call them? Rangers
Hmm.
and police. What else? And also to book is to arrest.
To book is to claim, like booking is also making money on somebody's claims, right? So
Yes, yes.
like
Bookmaker.
yeah, bookmaker. So he's like, you claim you bet on something, like bet is like also similar to what we were talking about with uh, Tsebumba. I forgot the name. The guy from your friend from Sweden, who
Oh,
is
Sacleo Sempombar.
Pumba. So Zachary also said that the about the beat is like battle, and also bet is also the same thing. Like
Yeah,
when
yeah,
you beat something with the word, because to beat is also to win, right?
yeah,
So to beat and to bet, it's all the same. And you have a bet in baseball, and you also have bet in Russian games. We have in ancient Russian games. So it's all the same connected word. So to book, to bet, it's bookmaking. It's all the same. And you can actually, uh, lose your freedom when you like, lost a game,
yeah,
right? So
yeah,
it's really to arrest. But to arrest in ancient times means you're gonna be a slave of somebody.
yeah. And now there's some other words just in general. So we say hello, so we say hell, or
Yeah.
uh, Hail Mary, and
Yeah.
Mary is not even a god, so it's a double curse. And this is a name. Set is a name also in Swedish, but it means Satan. And then it said the table is set. Are you all set? So all you say is Satan, Satan, Satan. Uh, Mindset, set for life.
Set is a
Everything is set.
past. Set is a past time for sit. So sit is the same. Sit is to be arrested sit
Yeah.
in jail. Set it on the table. Said is also you've said something like you in the past time you're saying something, right? So it's all the same. It just, we have been programmed with these words, and each and every word has like tens and different
Mm.
pronunciations and a little bit changing each time. And but the root is the same. It's
Mm.
all, the technology, the information, and the one who controls the technology controls the information and controls the world.
And set in Swedish, maybe it's not connected, but it means been seen. Past
Insane.
tense. Yeah, been seen. Something that has been seen. That something
Yeah,
was noticed or seen.
yeah, it's insane. And
Observed.
also insane.
Observed.
Sane is also a very interesting word. When
Yeah.
you trying to tell people that you've seen something, and they think you are insane.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also, you know the information, but you proclaim to be insane. So it's all the same. Same and insane is the same. So it's like when you see an insane person, what do you think? Oh, he's just a crazy. I just I don't know those crazy conspiracy theorists.
And also, when you eat pancakes and Pan and Peter Pan, which is the Baphomet with the devil, the goat god, the frying pan, panna, which is also forehead in Swedish, and stekpanna, when you a frying pan in Swedish. You also have the pan, panorama, panoramic, panic. So
Pan is Lord in Ukrainian and Polish. Pan. It's like Mister or
yeah,
Lord. You- So
yeah,
it's like Lord is similar to God, because in some Bible text they use Lord, and in some they use God, Lord God, and something like this. So it's the
hmm,
same, it's all the same stuff. Lord is the law,
hmm,
and Lord is your owner,
yeah. Well, that makes sense.
landlord.
Yeah,
So if there's landlord, there's a sea lord, right? And the sea lord is, in some religions it's Neptune, in some religions it's navigation. The
yeah.
things is all connected to the sea. So
Hmm.
sea is owning the world. So
Yeah,
we've
well,
been
somebody made a comment about the what's it called? The Pope is what is it? God of the sea, or what was it called? No, no, but it's not. It's spelled as SEE that he sees,
SEC.
like when you see, but
Yeah.
it's not the ocean. But I don't know. Never mind.
Sea is
Somebody.
like sea is like similar to Sion. So Sion is like somebody from the sea. He is from the sea, like maybe. So it's like I've been trying to talk about this stuff in bomb barrels and stuff like this, but I stuck to the Sion, like the dioxide of, how do you call it, cuprum. Cuprum is in Latin uh, some orange metal, bronze, like similar to bronze,
Copper.
copper. Yes,
Yeah, yeah,
so it's like the blue bloods have the copper dioxide in their blood.
yeah.
and all this stuff is related to.
Some people have too little copper in their blood, and then they get sick from that, and some get sick from too much copper.
Yeah, so it may be called like this, but we have so many mutations, so it's not a secret that we might have also this disease. Why not? If we are all like breeded in ancient times, so why not?
Well, let's see.
Pan is also pizza. It's like a pizza pan, right?
Yeah, yeah,
And
pan
the pizza,
pizza.
pizza symbolizes the world.
Yeah.
So it's like the dry land and all those, mountains and stuff like this. And also,
Um, the pancake in Swedish.
yeah, pancake is a blin.
Blin.
Blin is also pan.
Blini. Like in Hungary, I think it's called. Or no, they have the other ones that are fried with caviar and sour cream. What are they? Langos. They're not pans. No.
Yeah, it's
But
like
langos, what does that mean in Russian? Lango.
we definitely will find a bunch of synonyms that used in some languages and not used in others languages. That's why I'm talking about the pieces of the puzzle,
Mm.
and that's why I think it's important to maybe make some comparison website where you can find different meanings of similar language groups, so you can understand the deeper meaning of the world, because the word is the world without L, right? Just one letter and you change the word to the world.
But okay, so what else? That's so true. I also want to say many of these things I found again at the Ghetto Gospel channel, and so I want to owe him. Uh, I owe him a lot of thanks. So I will post a link later once this gets published or something. Where I'll think I have it down here. Their channel name is Revelations of Jesus Christ, but they are also called the Ghetto Gospel, so I think it's a shorter name. So that's the banner they have on their channel. So, and they do have some really good breakdowns. Anyway, so the star Sirius, I'm serious. So you keep saying words like I'm serious. Are you serious? I'm serious.
Yep,
Yes.
that makes sense actually,
Mm-hmm. And
because it's all alchemy. Alchemy is like very close to magic, so an alchemist, probably named all those stars, all those names.
it's also ironic because it's kind of spaced out to kind of when you cast spells, when you're trying to say that you want to be honest and you want to be something, you want to be straight with something, and then you're speaking about serious. So
Sirius is like, maybe for me it's not like the star exactly. It's like to be the Lord, the owner of your word, because Sir is spelled like SIR, so
mm,
it's like Sir also, like also
mm,
in maybe in some accents it's also
yeah.
Sir, not Sir, because Sir is like only in American,
Mm,
I think. So being serious is like being an owner of your word, and not not lying.
mm. And many people they talk about they're so afraid of the evil or the dark forces and stuff like that, and also that we're contaminated with our DNA is contaminated. But there is
And
something.
also,
If
remember the French kings, how they were called?
what do you mean that they were snakes?
No, no, no. The
No, what? Sorry,
French king. When you
what
were
they call
asking the French king something, you like say sir, sir,
sir.
sir. So it's like, yes, sir. It's like,
Yeah,
he's like, uh, Your Majesty, but you don't say Your Majesty. You say
oh,
yes,
sir
sir. So it's
in
like,
French.
yes. In
Sir?
French, you're supposed to
No,
say sire to monarch.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
And also Sir, but maybe that has no connection. That's for sure. Sir, c'est sûr.
Yeah,
Mm,
for sure. You're the owner of your word, so you like, when you say something, you're supposed to do it.
yeah. Anyway, so yeah, what I was saying, yeah. Anyway, so many people they're so afraid of the contamination, but there is, we usually just talk about the darkness and look at this one, and we're exposing the dark stuff, but there's good stuff as well. You can change your DNA, just if you in a how would you say you would in a not only honest but really, yeah, maybe honest would be the right word. You can make communion just with some red. You don't even have to use wine; just some red raspberry drink, for children, and some bread, and you can, eat the body and the blood of Christ, and you can change, but you can change your DNA into something better than being lost in fear. So you can do good things. So let's proceed here. And you don't need a priest to do that. You just need to have faith. So
Yeah, what do they give you in your churches as a blood and
they have some sweet, strong wine. I don't drink wine. I don't drink
wine?
alcohol.
Wine. Yeah, we also
So,
have wine in
and
Russia.
they have bread.
It's
This
something like
bread that is pressed. It looks
yeah,
like the Catholics' bread as well.
pressed.
I went once when I lived for a while in Stockholm, and I went to this well when I was a kid. So I was it was a day we were allowed to go there, the whole school or the whole class, to this place where they make these oblaten, oblates. I think it's called in English. Yeah. So and then we got to try them, but they're not very tasty. But
Yeah,
I actually do that myself. That I break the bread, and it really is something else. And when I've done it in churches, it's almost like they've cursed it, so it doesn't work. It doesn't really feel. It's probably because they're so lukewarm. It's not really. They're not authentic. Most people in church. Sorry, or most priests.
I don't
Yeah.
really know. They sell a bunch of stuff in Russian churches, like they sell all those cookies, and they try to
Yeah.
sell everything. So, like Russian churches is like a little shops of
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
You like they make money.
Souvenir shops.
They make money on everything that
Uh,
they can sell it actually.
but the Swedish churches, they have these. I had that in a video when a video recently. I might post it also later. But they're promoting these bracelets that are voodoo bracelets, and I can bet on this that they're made in Africa. So it's African demonic dominions, and so instead of so it's called a, I think it's called something with a prayer ring or some. So it's similar to the what do you call it, the rosemary with the beads. So the Catholic Church has those when they're praying. It's like a necklace that they're
Yeah,
using.
yeah, yeah. I know. It's like you like
Rosemary, I think it's called the
you like
rosemary.
do it like this in the
Yeah,
hands,
yeah,
right?
just
We
like
call it
Hare
we,
Krishna.
we call it chotki, chotki.
Kochochki.
Chotki is like similar to evens.
Yeah.
Even the word even, like when you have odds and evens, right? So
Yeah.
it's also religious.
We have the word
thing.
event. It must
Even
be
even is
even.
like you have a level of, it's also a draw. Draw is like even
Then
when
you
you
have the event.
event, evening,
Yeah,
evening.
yeah. So they level out. It's like, but they use it with control, with like with a psyop, for instance. So
Evening is when you have like even time in a day. So it's
yeah,
like,
evening, evening out.
yeah.
Hmm.
That's why it's Christmas Eve also, and Eve is also the first
Human
uh,
woman.
so-called first woman. Yes, so-called. So it's like all connected again, as you can see. And odds and evens is the most sacral thing that you probably never known. So it's
Sorry.
like odds and evens.
Yeah,
You heard about it?
odds and evens. And
Yeah,
might. No, I didn't.
it's like very sacral thing. They hide the sense from the simple persons about odds and evens.
Hmm.
Odds is like something that you cannot count because it's not divided by two, and evens is always divided by two. So it's like uh, zero and ones, the system that we have in digital,
Yeah,
right? Zeros and ones is two symbols that they use, and that's why the even symbolism system is working right now.
mm,
And the odd system is the system of so-called pre-flood times,
yeah,
when they, always never forgot about rich and poor, but they didn't forget about the normal people. So it's always a third party that they never forget about. So it's like, the when they think about something, they also think about something else. This
mm,
is the thinking of the odds,
yeah,
right? It's like yes and no, or like or dislike. It's like share.
yeah. How
That's
did
why.
you? What are you? Are you have? Do you have any plans for anything? Are you having any upcoming? Something that you're working on.
Yes, I'm working right now on constructions.
Yeah.
So
So
I'm
that's why you
stuck on.
want to find some images.
Yeah, I'm stuck on it because none of significant buildings have actually the photos of construction itself.
I have so much night. These what do you call them? Night moth. These flying. It's like night butterflies. Moth. They're brown or black or white, and they fly to the light.
Yeah,
And somehow they get inside. I don't understand. This year I have a record.
yeah. This is some
So,
butterflies that called monarchs.
but I have closed the door, and they shouldn't be coming in. So,
Yeah,
well,
it's like
maybe
a food for the fish. We call it.
fish for thought. Fish for thought. Fish for thought.
Yeah,
No, thought for
fish.
fish. No, that
Yeah,
doesn't work. No, that's not right.
yeah,
I don't know. I don't have. Maybe there was. I was just elaborating with the word, Simba from, the Lion King, and it had connections with mirage, illusion. So it means illusion, and and what else? The word witch. You
hmm
use it a lot, but it's hexa in Swedish. So it did. But you say which way, what, you know.
yeah,
So you use the word witch a lot.
yeah. Also, which is like the statement of that you don't know,
Hmm.
right? Which you ask, which you don't know. So, and the witch is always knows, and witch in Russian is Vedic, Vedma. It's like Veda and Ma. Ma
Yeah.
is like mother, and
Veda.
Veda is knowledge.
The Veda.
Yeah, Vedas
Yeah.
in Indian. So it's like we have different, all this connection with Vedas. Vedas
I
is like
like ved in Swedish. I
yeah,
burn it. It's firewood.
it's Vedas is also Atvet. Atvet is answer. So
Åtved.
Ответ.
Att veta på Swedish is to know in Swedish.
Yeah,
It's true. Att
yeah,
veta.
I know.
You know.
I know everything is connected.
Just
So,
kidding. Att veta. That was really cool. Yeah. So yeah.
and also to know somebody in like Bible is sometimes misinterpreted when like they tell about Noah and his like uh, daughters maybe or wives of his son or something like this,
Mm-hmm.
or maybe daughters, I don't know. And it's like written in some Bibles that he known them, but he didn't know him as he knew him before he known them. So when you talk about knowing them, it's like the act of sexual
Oh.
no, actually. So it's like
Mm. Yeah. And also, I think I have one more word here. That was well, the Jezebel spirit. I think we touched on that last time, but there was just this. I just wanted to add that it also means husbandless. And if you go back to Adam and Eve, Adam was given Eve because a man does. Somehow women, they seem to do okay when they're single or they live alone, but a man, I know this is controversial, but but I think I've seen, with my friends, and also well, I can see when a man has a good woman how much better his life is than when he's alone. So men really do well when they have a good wife. So that's why where it comes from, the husband less
yeah, and wife is also knows why, right? Because
knows why.
wife
Why?
is always right. So
Yeah, with the wifey, the internet. No, just kidding.
and it's also we call it супруга or жена. So it's like
Fru, fruga,
Frau, Жінка,
frau.
lady. It's all the same. Lady in Russian similar to Lada. Lada in old Russian is wife. So
Yeah,
wife is Lada. Lada is
yeah.
your wife. So
Kvinna,
that's why
woman.
lady.
What's kvinna? What's woman in Russian?
Женщина or Жінка,
That sounds. Say the first word.
женщина.
Женщина. It's a bit similar to kvinna, but it has that first inna. Yeah,
Inna is a name. It's a woman's name in Russian. Inna.
yeah,
Yeah.
kvinna.
So
The kvinna.
we lost also names because names is like Lada was also the name. So like my last name is Druzhinin, and Druzhina, and sometimes it's like an army, right? But in some languages it's a wife.
Yeah.
So maybe for a soldier, his army, he's like a wife, right? Taking care of his back at least, and helping him out. So it's all connected, of course, and whatever word we can scroll out. So uh, serious or wife or witch, it's like all connected.
Yeah.
And it's all in the Bible, of course, because Bible is one of the most referred source right now. So everybody's trying to roll over Bible, but I'm, trying to stick to a neutral position. I'm not, glorifying each and every word in it, and I'm trying to explain people why, because we don't understand the words, and most of the Bible books were edited in 19th century, and
Well,
they even show us, difference between different books, and we see
yes,
different words.
there's a lot of those when we grew up. A lot of them have been tampered with, but what you can see, what the tampering has been, is that they have been casting spells, so people cannot understand them. So you get sleepy or bored, or you cannot. So it's almost like they've been on a lockdown. So it's not so much they're most of I actually been looking into this. So most of the Bibles are very much alike, but some in very important things. Just a few. I'm just generalizing here, but in general, to keep it short, some very important points have been altered with. So, for instance, that everyone can get into, can be forgiven, or anyone can get into,
Yeah.
can be accepted by the Father, but that's not true. So you have to find. So what is the truth? Then the King James is the one that is not corrupt, but the other ones are, most of them are very corrupt. But that does not say you can still find verses so you can compare them and then you can understand them better. So
Yeah, I mean, the validity of the books itself is not a question right now. So it's
yeah,
like they
no.
probably, disgrace all those apocryphs that they don't say, like, don't read them at all.
Mm,
Like, beyond them, there is like the book of Andrew, which is like on the flag of Scotland and Russia,
mm-hmm,
and even Great Britain has this, horizontal cross. And Saint Andrew was crucified just like Christ, but only on a different cross. So, and they totally erased this book from the Bible. Why?
mm.
Because they don't want us to know what is about, what it was about, right? So, and many
This
different stuff.
Book of Thomas, I've heard that the Catholic Church and the I think there are two or three parts that have split it and they're hiding it. I don't know if it's true or not, but there are several books that are still not available for us.
Yeah. And what about Saint Christopher?
I don't know.
Well, you don't know. I'll show you. This guy. He was
Oh
supposed to
yes.
he was supposed to carry Jesus on his back, but
Oh yes.
on the earlier pictures he had this face. So, and also dog is inverted God, right? And dog, who's the best man's friends? The dog,
Mm.
right? And he may even seem to have a scary face sometimes. And he was definitely a giant.
Mm.
So, and he's called Christopher. Christopher is similar to X that we see on, and sometimes it could be represented as Christ.
Yes. One interesting thing, people they look at many people who buy these, gift shops with these sorcery gift shops, I would say, that have been contaminated with black magic. If you
Yeah,
go,
he looks like exactly like Set, like the word you use today, Set.
yeah,
Set is the god, and he looks like a dog head, right?
mm,
Just like Christopher.
but yes, but many of those you don't know for sure, like that these Egyptians paintings, they have been edited because you see they're too perfect, most of them.
Well, at least if we don't question him,
So okay,
like
okay, okay, I'm sorry.
if we don't question the
Yes.
images itself, because
No,
it
no, I
has.
remember. It's people. They believe what I was going to say. People believe that uh, Jesus was so handsome, or he looked like a woman in a white dress, and he had those,
But
like a ballerina. But if you studied the scripture, he was not. He was not handsome.
yeah, but let's say,
So
let's say,
he
like
might
here,
may even have been very ugly, I would say.
like
So
here,
it was.
we see the picture of Saint Christopher, right?
Mhm.
But if you look closely, you see it was edited over the dog head here.
Mm. Yes.
Can you see it?
Yes, yes.
So, and in Russia, we even had one book which is called the Kinocephalus. It's about the guys who were trying to organize some church and rebuild it, and they found those depictions of Kinocephalus, which is
Hmm.
dog head Saint Christopher, and very were very astonished. And so it's because they had it in Pantheon, and like amongst those disciples, right? So
Mm.
he was like one of them,
Mm.
but then they totally erased him.
Mm.
Just and this is everywhere. You can go through these all those books, and you find out that most of them uh, have this problem.
Well, that goes for well, it seems to be some. I don't have the image right here, but there I do have an image somewhere of Jesus that he may have been a giant, but that was just one painting I found. But
Yeah, the thing that we found out that we were a little bit less in height in the end of
maybe not
19th
one of those
century.
biggest giants, but one at least taller than we are.
Yeah, I mean,
That he
the
was
problem
pretty.
that I found out is that in the end of 19th century, in the beginning of 20th century, we were less taller than we are right now. So
Yeah,
at
those
least,
small ones, the antes.
yeah, probably we are growing like each century, like at least 5 inches, like something like this.
Mhm.
So at least we did grow from the 50s.
Yeah, we're all
So
taller.
yeah,
We're
we
all
became
taller.
taller. So and
So
probably
even
something.
within siblings, people get taller if you have somebody who's 5 or 10 years in between. Sorry, I interrupted you, but
Yeah, yeah, you're right. So it's like, we can recognize it, we can observe it, and we can, make some assumptions. So
mm,
probably people were a little bit smaller, and probably uh, they mixed up with the genotypes of somebody who had those giants in their ancestor lines, right? So that's why
mm,
we like mixing, and average height is leaning towards growing to the those heights that those giants had.
mm.
So and maybe some food that also was improved. Who knows? Maybe we have better food right now,
Yeah.
right?
One interesting thing is I seem to when you see most giants. I saw a giant last year in Stockholm, and it was a young man who was with this group of people, and so there was an event anyway. So and I asked around because they were still in the area where anyway. So and I found out that he was maybe 18 years old, tops, maybe 16 something, and he was so big. So and also because you don't see that so much, usually you have to Google for images or find people, videos on YouTube, and also I've had friends that are 2 meters long. Maybe you think that's not so long, but it is still tall. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm starting to speak Swedish. Anyway, it's long in Swedish.
yeah. Loan is in English also.
So
we have a loan in Russian instead of toll.
long. That's
Yeah,
very similar to Swedish. But
and
he had huge hands, and some people they have. A, so I'm thinking maybe he had some kind of. I don't like to use the word genes because that sounds like fake fake talk. But let's just call it for that for now, so people know what I'm saying. That somehow you inherit uh, some kind of inheritance. We could say that this guy. So maybe it's also God given as what you sow and what you reap, what you can, what you harvest, and what your parents' generations. There can be curses and there can be positive things that you gain. So maybe that was something they gained. So they got a giant son. So,
yeah, I'm
but I
just
just it was just so wonderful to watch him. And so I stayed that in that area, and he and his friend they were doing something, so I was just watching him for hours because I was in the same area. So and And I was just in awe. I thought it was so cool. And it was just made me so happy that he was just so big. Everything, the eyes were big and, everything on him. So I don't know. It's just,
Yeah, probably some genes just starting to being revealed. So it's like
yeah.
who knows? What I've
Mm,
been trying to think is like when you have some connections between different languages that's supposed to be different even groups because they place us in a different groups. German languages and Finno-Ugric languages are a little separate from the Slavic languages, but we can see the connection is pretty obvious.
yeah.
And this is what they don't want to talk about. They don't want to talk about the original so-called pre-Christian, pre-Christian paradigm. So it's like because Christianity was not for always like it was like in so-called medievals, even in the official version, it was not in every place in Europe. So people were fighting, and we have a bunch of depictions of so-called Vikings fighting Catholics and
Mm,
stuff like this. So burning churches, and we have a bunch of depictions about uh, in America when people were burning churches of Catholics in,
mm,
for example, in Philadelphia in 1842 something or
mm-hmm,
46. The famous riot in Philadelphia when so-called the party of national Native Americans were fighting the militia in the uniform of Napoleon troops,
mm,
similar to hussars. So it's like very interesting connections because in each and every region we had some type of little conflicts with the so-called Catholic and Jesuit expansion. In India we had like a war for independence, and we had a bunch of war for independences in South America, in Mexico, in where else? So probably most of the world has independence war with so-called Christian expansion. So it's like I mean it was not forever and for a very long time. So it's like people were fighting and protecting themselves from the influence of the Christian
mm,
civilization. So and all those crusades, just remember all those official crusades that were
yeah.
like seated in the east and probably killed a bunch of people there. So it's like all this cycle was about some symbolism and something that we have to find out. Either that's all bullshit or it's all just history that was brought from somewhere else because I don't see much evidence backing up things that we used to know in official history.
Yeah, I would like to know the truth about the Vikings.
Yeah,
For
very
instance,
very
so how
interesting.
much I feel that there's so much. It's like a super psyop, and to me and Sakleo, we've been talking about how important. I think this is something very natural for you, but maybe not for everyone who's listening. But I think that also goes for all three of us, if I may say, that you without our intuition, we would get nowhere. That we have to trust our intuition when we work with these things. So we do. People might say, "Oh, you don't have proof," but it is something that we are led and inspired. So
Yeah.
that's how we need to work. If we don't have that, we wouldn't be showing shit on these channels, I think. So am I? Don't you agree with that? How much inspiration leads us?
Yeah, the
And
research is a lot interesting, more interesting than just listening to something. So that's why my first goal is not just to grow my channel, is to ignite other people because somebody could be more professional than you are, and it's a lot more interesting to listen to him than you are. So because so I really enjoyed all your ideas because you're like bringing some fresh air to my research, and so
Likewise. Likewise.
thanks a lot for your time, and hope we have more chats in the future.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks a lot, guys, for watching, and see you
Yes.
later.
Be blessed. Thanks, Philip.